All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Odd Taxi, episode 9. Oh boy.
So, last episode, a whole lid just got burst open. Things look completely different now. And then also, Odokawa remembered Kakihana.
Calico Cat.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. He's his buddy's in big trouble. See if you can save him. That's gonna be awesome. Good luck.
Yes.
But also trying to frame Dobu, kind of set him up for this.
What's Little Daimon gonna do?
Yeah, and then relying a lot on Little Daimon here for getting all this to work out.
But then there's the whole thing of, is our theory right? Is Odokawa just seeing everybody as animals?
I think he is.
I think he
he is. And I think in some ways, even if it's not, there's probably going to be more stuff that feels like evidence that's going to come up.
Sure.
So
yeah.
we'll just see. But Goriki was investigating the nature of Odokawa's situation. And very much pointing towards the fact that there is something wrong with him on the visual sides of things with how he perceives the world.
And then Mr. Hippo YouTuber was talking about how did he recognize me? I had my mask on. Oh, there must be a traitor because that's the only other way that would be possible, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this. But on the Dobu side of things with I think Kabasawa, that all seems to be bubbling up towards a little bit more dramatic of a situation now, because even though he saw Dobu in person, he didn't get to have things go the way he wanted. So is his whole little 5 minutes of fame gonna crash and burn soon because people are starting to see through him a little bit?
Yeah, he is turning on his fans now, which is generally not a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. So, we'll see. But y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Cool.
Well, all right.
This episode was really fast. We ended up getting a lot of stuff with regards to Kakihana and Kabasawa basically hitting rock bottom, getting forced to be, acknowledge where they've gone wrong.
Yep.
And it's fantastic that they each had Odokawa and Dobu respectively to help them out with this, because in a lot of ways it's not about whether or not they deserved to be helped. It's the fact that they were lucky enough to be put into a situation where someone was there that could help.
Exactly.
And they're taking this opopportunity, each of them.
Even though Kakihana still, goes back to try and find the ring, and
Kabasawa
is like, exactly. And Kabasawa's like, sorry, I'm not offering refunds on the salons.
Yes, exactly.
I hope you understand.
Yeah, there's that little aspect of them where they're not fully changed, but at the very least, the pain of hitting rock bottom hurt them a little bit.
And I would not be surprised if this was the end of their character arcs for the show. Like, it did feel kind of like a resolution. Where you don't necessarily need to have anything after. There's still a few more episodes, so they could continue with them, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the direction they took. And actually, that's something that I would like to see more stories do. You don't need to have all characters stick around to the end of the series just because they're part of the cast. Because then that can get things really complicated when you're thinking of, okay, how do we tie up all these different plot threads and loose ends and things? And those two can just, exit stage left.
Yeah, but we'll see, because there's a couple things that were left open this episode. One is the idea of, Kakihana still has his debts.
That's true.
But because of it all being tied through Yano, and, Dobu just beat the shit out of Sekiguchi, one of Yano's top enforcers here, the blame for this is probably going to go less onto Kakihana because, he has no money. There's nothing really they can gain from him by pushing him. So maybe the loan sharks in the immediate sense have some potential aggressiveness towards Kakihana because, they'll see if he can squeeze him for something. But this is going to turn into a Yano versus Dobu war. Which is interesting because we have another person who went on the warpath a little bit here, who
did.
never showed his face, but
we can be pretty sure
it was you based on the gun. Yeah,
like
that was not Tanaka.
That was not Tanaka, even though there was the blue sleeve and everything and the revolver pistol.
The pistol was slightly different.
Pistol was a bit different.
Yeah.
And there was one other person who was actively told where Dobu was going to be this episode and said, "Oh, I can't help you. It's outside of jurisdiction."
Yeah.
But at the same time, wait, this is a fight against evil? Well, I have to help.
Yeah. I love the idea that it's Little Daimon. He's smart enough to know that he would never say that he would go outside of his jurisdiction and do something illegal. That's why he so quickly said, no, I can't do that. That doesn't mean that he wouldn't do something.
Because he did offer to, he's like, well, hold on now, you know. And then he's like, well, no, I don't want you to try and make some civilian arrest or whatever, you know, or like I don't need civilian help. I don't even need the cops' help right now. He's like, okay, well, fine, you know.
Fine, yeah.
But also it's something where Dobu potentially doesn't have a direction to turn to address it because he was the only one who saw him. And even if he recognizes him, what does he do? Go to Big Diamond and be like, hey, your little brother shot me? Like, I guess he could do that. That actually would be a...
Well, in some ways, like... is another interesting thing, but there's a non-zero chance it was Big Daimon too.
That's true. Where it's like Little Daimon told his brother that Dobu was going to do something near the wharf. Big Daimon's like, dude.
Yeah, that's Yano's territory.
That's Yano's territory. And while I do work with you, technically I work with you because you work for your boss, you know.
Right.
And then
maybe he's a little bit more affiliated with Yano now.
Right. Although if it was Big Daimon,
going for Dobu.
That's true. But if it was Big Daimon, I get the feeling he might have stuck around to like finish the job. Off. You know?
Maybe. The part that I'm really curious about is that it's not about whether he, kills Dobu, but that he's like, okay, I did my part. I got him potentially to where he could die. But if I shoot him to where he actually dies from me like executing him, then it's a whole big deal of where someone with a police revolver
he's still
shot and executed him.
Yep. And there's still going to be the issue of since we went back and checked some of the other episodes and it didn't look like they had guns normally, like when they were like directing traffic and things like that. They did not actually have firearms.
Right.
So while he could have access to them pretty easily, considering this is Japan, and even Dobu is like, no, I can't get another gun. Let's get my gun back. Right.
Yeah, that was not Tanaka's gun.
Though. Right. That was not Tanaka's gun.
Or Dobu's gun by extension. Yeah.
A piece of ammunition was discharged. Now, the show might not get into this, but anytime you have regulated firearms that are being handed out, one of the things that you also regulate is ammunition. And you check to see that all of the bullets that come back in was the same number as the ones that went out. And if it's not the same, you need an explanation for where that missing bullet went.
Right.
And, well, I don't think Little Daimon will have an explanation for that.
Right, so I'm curious to see where that open thread goes, because there's some interesting ways they can take it. On the Kabasawa side of things here, we went all in on him in this episode compared to Kakihana, who we had already kind of spent a bit of time showing how he had fallen, really.
Yeah, come to his wit's end.
But Kabasawa, he was our first character to get into the taxi, you know?
Yep.
And we spent a bit of time here showing us that he is... he's really pathetic. Like he's completely fallen apart. He was in complete denial and complete delusion as to the state of his situation. He lied about all the things that he wanted to the girl. He was sleeping with a fan. This is some almost in some ways it's a classic YouTuber falls from grace kind of thing.
Sure. Oh yeah.
I would say
an apology video and them deleting their channel. And everything.
Yeah, exactly. Apology video, deleting your channel, keeping the money. Classic. I think PewDiePie would give this one a C tier apology. He didn't milk it for enough content. He didn't get a sponsor for the apology video. The apology video could have been 10 seconds, but now it's going to get thrown into the YouTube Shorts side of things. And you don't want to do that unless you're wanting to do meme content and stuff like that, or something funny. But now you're going to be a living meme.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, yes, I am a god, and then I have made a mistake.
Yeah. Like, oh god.
Like, as YouTubers, it hurts. It hurts looking at this because you're like,
right.
Oh my god. I can absolutely see where a kid would become Kabasawa.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the whole thing of the deification, and then like the part that got to me the most, other than the fact that he broke a lamp over a fan's head, right?
Well, no, he slammed it against the wall.
Oh, I thought he hit her.
No. I think he was trying to scare her, basically.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, well,
yeah.
All right, but
otherwise, I don't think she would have slapped him. I think she would have called the police.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. But what's the part where he's like, I didn't ask to be deified? And it's like, no, you literally did. You self-proclaimed deity and everything. Like,
I this is my favorite line. This one is actually like one I have to be careful at times because I've felt the temptation to use this line.
Ooh.
But this is one that I've heard a lot of YouTubers use, and it's I don't understand why blah 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 blah. I'm the most greatest whatever something, and then it's just like, oh no, dude.
Do you believe your own hype that much?
Yeah, exactly, and it's a classic example of basically obfuscating No, there's a valid critique basically here about where there's something that you screwed up. But then you're like, I don't know where they're getting that picture. I, on the broad general sense, have always been a picture of insert good thing here. But it's like, that's not what they're bringing up here, Kabasawa. Right. It's the idea that Kabasawa, you fucked up. You fucked up and went really crazy there.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you need a mentor. Yes, you need to reevaluate a lot of things. And yes, deleting all this stuff is good.
It's it was not a it was not a symbiotic relationship, shall we say? Right?
Symbiotic.
There was not a proper like give and take. It didn't bring out the best side of you exactly. So it's maybe just turn away from it completely.
Yeah, I feel like though it was his choice though.
Oh,
it's not. We don't have YouTube to blame for this.
No. Absolutely right. Absolutely. But it's a I feel like that's a similar conversation to the whole thing of Shirakawa with Dobu, right? This was Kabasawa's choice to be like, yes, I am your god, right, and everything, and you are my slaves and whatnot, right? But at the same time, if he hadn't started putting that shit online and stuff, he never would have realized that was a side of himself, right?
No, sure, but I think the thing I'm getting at is even a little bit more nuanced than that. Is that just because he posted online doesn't make him a victim of his success or what have you.
No, yeah, totally.
In the same way that Shirakawa made some choices, sure. Once she was in the situation there, hers is a negative, a threat to her survival, a thing that is actually going after her from that standpoint there. His is a boon. His is all these good things started happening to him.
Right.
Her power was taken away. His was given. And this is, I think, the difference, is that when you want to test a man's character, you give him power.
Yeah.
So in this case, power corrupted him. But I would say that the difference is that at any point, he still has the power to stop that.
Well, yeah, but
whereas she had less.
No. So here's all right. So this is maybe a weird view of things, right?
Okay.
But I would say that while yes, he is absolutely a scumbag and everything, he has a similar set of circumstances to that situation, because if you have a boon and then you naturally become dependent on that boon, right? Because it's that awesome, right? It's everything that Kabasawa dreamed of, right?
Okay.
The threat of that being taken away is essentially akin to a death. It is for his own survival in the person that he is now, he needs that thing to continue, right? So there is a that dependency can take on a twisted life of its own.
Yes.
Where he's addicted to the rush that he gets of the views coming in on the videos, in the same way that Tanaka was addicted to the gacha games and things like that, right?
Yeah. I'm totally aware of how that works. I'm saying that the difference is that when one is basically you going to the slot machine and you got a big $1 million hit, one time.
Yep.
Every time you go back to the slot machine, you're not a victim to the slot machine. There are systems out there that are addictive, that have like specific things that give, I would say, that give a dopamine hit, a rush that gives you this full thing of what's the way to describe it, but. I feel really bad for people like that are in the situations, but the act of actually continuing to go back to those things, especially earlier on, I would say is not so simple as saying that, well, they're a victim here.
But, I don't say that in any way to dismiss his behavior or anything.
No, I'm not talking about that either. We're giving both nuanced responses here. I'm talking about the fact that this was not actually tied to his survival. He wanted more of the dopamine hit. He wanted to feel like that. That is different than I need to live, basically.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say that's where I do not think it's a fair comparison, really, other than maybe the structure of the situations between Shirakawa and and him there. In the same way that Kakihana, for instance, to bring another person there, Kakihana's situation is very much, I would say, a bridge between the two of sorts.
Sure. Yeah.
But the reason why it's a bridge is not because of his desire to get this special attention from the girls that he was soliciting, but actually because of the debts he went into to propagate the stuff that he was doing, getting involved in the Badger games and stuff like that. So the small choices that were ones that were unhealthy and keeping him from avoiding his situation, where he was not a victim. He was not a victim at all in that regard. In going after these girls.
Okay.
Then he goes into debt. That's at the point when he basically is going to lose his power, because they're going to come after him and make him face the consequences of his own actions. I would say he's still not the victim. I would say he's still not the victim. But
I would actually push back on that, because it was something where you actively had people predating on him
because of his choice.
Right. Well, yeah. So the gazelle goes and drinks at the water, and there's the lion that's waiting in the bushes, right? Even if the gazelle made the decision to go to that watering hole, even if knowing that there are lions potentially nearby, that doesn't change the fact that they're a victim in the predator-victim relationship.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about whether or not the actual choice was something that he needed to make.
Sure, but
that's why I'm talking about the difference in that Shirakawa couldn't run away from her situation.
But by that logic, Shirakawa also made the decision to get the loan from Dobu in the first place, right? Like it's because once you
Right. I'm with you on that. I'm saying that the choices that led to that situation for the others was not based on survival or something that needed to be affected, whereas Shirakawa's was.
So how was it survival before Shirakawa made the decision?
Wasn't there like a health situation?
No, it was it was student loans.
Oh.
It was student loans. She wanted to pay her way through college.
That's right.
So, and
then that's actually a weird topic that we can get into here, is that a lot of people are in situations, I would say, that where they're being taken advantage of, I would say, by their environment, but they specifically felt forced into the environment that they're in, regardless of whether or not they're actually there by choice or not.
Sure, Dobu being this awesome dude who can like give this wisdom to Kabasawa and everything, and at the same time he's in a situation where, you know, he'll beat the shit out of somebody and be like, yeah, I'm gonna chuck you in the river because, you know, because might makes right in this situation, and I, you know, like,
what does that have to do with this?
Dobu is someone that I could see having done very well outside of a life of crime, and for whatever reason he ended up, probably because of environmental circumstances and things like that, being pushed into this situation.
But he's a victim? What? I'm confused.
Okay,
I guess
I'm going into I guess I can drop this. I was using things that I kind of had in my own mental framework of what Dobu's life was probably like because of the things that we've seen, but it's not based on anything that we've actually been shown in the show, so it's probably not relevant or worth like, bringing up as a point of discussion.
Okay. So in summary, the aspect of the show having Odokawa focus on, even with Goriki, the idea of, well, no, there's have you ever heard of Stockholm Syndrome? Basically, you can get to a point where you're so dependent on the system that has been fucking you over all this time that you propagate the choices that keep you involved in that system.
Just so that you can, in the immediate, survive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that the reason why the show maybe gave us so many different iterations of that is to stimulate thought within us as the viewer as to whether or not we discriminate to specific versions of that.
Sure.
And we basically give any kind of like special treatment to any one of these individuals because of X, Y, or Z.
Right.
And maybe there's an intended kind of thing of where, see how these situations are different? Some of those differences are very key. But the world isn't so black and white that you can basically say that, this person is a victim, this person is not a victim.
Right. Shirakawa didn't physically cause anybody harm like, you know, some of the other people did, but at the same time she almost ruined Goriki's life and, you know, and things like that, you know.
In a simple objective fashion, what your point was that they are unilaterally victims of their own choices and the consequences in those choices.
Right.
Regardless of whether or not one of them basically was, I would say, more of a victim than others.
At some point it became a downward spiral. At some point they got in too deep or whatever. Something happened that made it so that they couldn't reasonably be like, you know, they couldn't reasonably get out of it without some other environmental circumstance that shakes things up enough so that way they hit rock bottom or you know, whatever, they get found out, you know, and then suddenly it's like, oh shit, I need to change things.
I need to ask for help.
Right, yeah.
And I think that might be something they're setting up with Odokawa, is that Odokawa has been alone all this time.
Yeah.
He's got his taxi, but in some ways you can almost feel that little bit of, wait, why a taxi? Well, he gets to see lots of people.
Yep.
He's not alone. But then there's plenty of time where he's being more and more comfortable with being alone because he's waiting for his, you know, his whoever his ride is going to be that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he considers his parents to be missing,
right,
even though they're actually dead. Okay, this is going to get really sad. I can just tell with regards to us understanding a little bit more about Odokawa, because we've had little bits of like flashback related things that have not been resolved yet. And in some ways, this little scene here, like the landlord and Goriki, is kind of a reminder to us of we are not finished with Odokawa in terms of his like inner person, and we'll get more focus on that, especially because, well, we also got some very, very obvious hints of things that are like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe our theory was like exactly right. Because, well, he had been at that place since 5th grade, right?
Yep. Which, okay, so he doesn't necessarily see a lot of people.
Nope.
And if this started when he was a kid, that would make a lot more. That would make a lot of sense
because he probably dealt with some trauma.
Yeah. And hey, they had this one shot of a dog. Now, granted, okay, it's like a shot of a dog. That theoretically could be anything, right? But
we've never been shown a pet dog up until this episode.
No, that's right. We got 2 examples of regular animals this episode. We got the dog that looked like the exact
exactly
same
like his owner,
as the owner.
Which the joke of, you know, dogs look like their owners.
Right, but at the same time,
like
if
their
this
dogs.
was one of the earlier instances of Odokawa seeing people like animals, it would make sense that maybe because he had a close connection with a dog or something like that.
Sure.
Even though, actually, wait, hold on. Given how old Odokawa is, unless it's like a puppy of like the other dogs or something like that, when he was in fifth grade, like,
oh yeah, the dog wouldn't have been there, but
been there.
maybe it's a puppy of the dog that, you know, was there before.
Right. But one of the other things that stood out from this episode is that there was the part where he's getting chased by someone who has literally got a gun and is trying to kill him. Mm-hmm. And then he sees a cat in the road. Mm-hmm. And he swerves to avoid it. Now, hey, you want to save animals? Awesome, Odokawa.
Awesome.
Way to go. Go for you. Good for you, right? Mm-hmm. But that your life is in danger.
And he wouldn't pull over, even though Dobu was like, I'll go get him. Like,
right,
I'll
right,
do it
exactly.
for you. And he's like, no, he's trying to kill me.
Right, exactly. But then he swerves to avoid this cat.
Yeah.
Now, there's...
it says a lot about him.
Right, it says a lot about him. Now, I know a lot of people are like this even when they don't see people as animals, but a lot of people will almost hold animals because of their innocence as being as valuable as human life or even more, which is personally,
weird.
I do not get. I think that's really weird. But if Odokawa sees people as animals and then he sees an actual animal in the street, he might actually equate that to be being basically the same as a person because he's constantly seeing people as animals.
Yep.
You know?
So it's like, would you run over a child?
Right, exactly.
He's like, no way I would do that.
You know,
yeah, exactly. But it's also something that could be kind of maybe a little bit of a self-awareness thing, is he knows what his problem is.
Oh, okay.
And his problem is such that maybe he's not sure what was there. So
yeah, it could have been a cat or it could have been a baby.
It could have been a kid.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
And it's this thing of where he went, shit, I can't trust my eyes in this regard here. This is the one time where, oh no. Mm-hmm. I can't take that risk. No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a whole other thing as well. But okay, yo, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if ain't that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.